Alright, boys and girls, welcome back. We got a set of ball joints to swap out on this thing. I don't know if y'all can see, but I'm sweating my ass off. It's 100 some odd degrees, probably hotter in this garage, and I got that fan turned off just so you guys can hear. So be sure and like and comment and subscribe and tell the YouTube gods that I'm a god and whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna go step by step. I'm gonna time lapse some of it. I just want to make sure you guys get step by step. Some of my previous videos I've got yelled at because I didn't show exactly. Instead of explaining, people wanted to see step by step. That's fine. I can do that. So we'll get going on this, and I'll show you how to do it. All right. So if you have a steering stabilizer, go ahead and drop this end off. We're going to be taking the track bar down. Through the magic of YouTube, you guys are just going to see it happen real quick. I definitely had the tools ready and was ready to go. Didn't have the wrench going the right direction, though. Alright, so take that bolt out, get that out of the way. That way when you drop the track bar, you're not putting strain on it. Alright, next we're going to drop the track bar. So pull cotter pin out. I definitely did not pre-loosen that so that it was really easy to come out. Your results may vary. Oh, wow. I actually did, however, guess that one right the first time. Down and out of the way. Alright, next we're going to use a 21mm to undo the caliper and mount all at once. These are for the caliper itself. These are where it mounts. You can just undo them from the mount. You don't gotta take the caliper off and then take the mount off. So this is kind of a pain in the butt, but loud noises. They're in two places, one here, one straight down. The bolts look like this. Get that out of there, and then we'll hang this off the spring. Alright guys, we got the rotor off, so now we're down to the point of we need to get the ABS sensor off. We need to get the vacuum line for the automatic locking hubs off. Then we're going to take the cap off for your manual hubs. There's a C-clip in there. We'll take that C-clip out. Take the wheel bearing off, and then we'll pry the axle out. Then we'll be down to where we can clean and remove the nuts for each ball joint and drop the knuckle down. So these sensors I'm sure that just went everywhere. These sensors are very sensitive. See what I did there? So be real easy with them coming out. And it's usually a good idea to blow a little shop air, or just blow, so you don't drop anything down in there. But when you're coming out with these, they can be kind of a pain in the butt sometimes. So what I do is I twist them a little bit before I ever even try to pull up. Twist them back and forth to get them, you know, kind of loosened up in there, and then just gently pull up. Get your wire out. Gently pull up. So once you get that out and away, there's a little hole right here. I don't know if it's purpose built to do this, but it works for me. Let's get that bad boy out of there. And then there's one little nut right here that you need to take off. Giggity. We just want to separate it from the knuckle that we're going to drop down. Believe me, you don't want to buy these because you'll rip it in half. Don't ask me how I know. So just take that, fold it back out of the way where you're not going to rip the damn thing in half. Again, don't ask me how I know. Or damage it. Preferably not in between the spring to where it can get crushed. And then just put your bolt back in there so you don't lose it. Twist to break loose any stubbornness, and just pull the vacuum line off. Fold that out of the way. Now we're on to the bearing. So if you look at your bearing, you can see there's two studs here that go through into the knuckle. There's going to be two on the other side. So what we're going to do is get back in there. I believe it's a 19. Let's see if I'm right. No, I'm absolutely not right. Let's go with 21. Damn metric sizes on domestic vehicles. Alright, so they're 20, it's a 21. You're just gonna get back there and give it the ugga-duggas. Out of a 3/8 impact, y'all. I tell you what, these Milwaukee Fuel Hoopties, I ain't sponsored by these folks, but I'd damn sure like to be. So we'll move to the back. Get the back ones. Alright, so your Captain Big Nuts, you got everything off of there. The vacuum line, all that. Time to take the manual locking hub part off. I'm just gonna take these screws out. Definitely do not lose these. They may or may not be a pain in the ass to find. Okay, get those three out. Pull that out of there. Set this fancy little cap in a space where you're not going to lose the sucker. So we're going to get our handy dandy snap ring pliers. We're going to switch them over to press out. I can't get my camera low enough to show you guys, but it's pretty easy. Just look in there, you'll see it. Expand that clip and pull her out. Now that that's off, we got the nuts off the wheel bearing. We can take our highly technical and specialized tool, a screwdriver, get in behind there, give it a couple pries just to defeat that rubber seal that's in there and remove the heavy ass wheel bearing. Alright, so now you're to the point where it is time to get this axle out of here. So there's seals on the inside, don't worry about it. What you're going to do to get this axle out might seem a little unconventional, but it's the way you do it. So get your knuckle as straight as you can. Get yourself a small pry bar. Yeah, it's still going. A small pry bar. And what you're going to do is come over in the most inopportune area. That way you smack the hell out of yourself. Let me see in the viewfinder if you guys can see this. So, so back behind here, see it moving? So you get your pry bar back in there and you want to pry out and then watch the axle. I know it seems counterintuitive, and that was a big word, counterintuitive, but you're just basically gonna pry. So you probably won't be able to see it, but it was kind of cocked a little bit, but that is how you get these out. Next step, throw some PB Blaster on this. You're going to need it. 1 5/16 on the bottom, 1 1/8 up top. This one's cotter keyed, so take the cotter key off, 1 1/8, take this off. I've found it makes it a little easier to take the caster sleeve out, or you can leave it in and smack on the top of the knuckle. The whole thing will drop down, then you can drive the caster hoopty up from the bottom. So next step is cotter key, 1 1/8, 1 5/16, drop the whole thing down. Alright, so you're fancy and you've gotten your nuts off. Giggity. So now you're gonna beat it like it's your mother-in-law. Just kidding. So I would probably move this screw so you don't accidentally smack it and snap it off in there and then have to drill and tap that out, because that'd suck. So a couple little taps around there, free up any of that rust. Down at the bottom. And then, so leave that nut on there so it catches it, unless you want to find out the pain tolerance of your foot or whatever the hell you might have underneath there, because it will fall straight down. So just start giving her taps. Not right there though. Wow. That actually went way easier than I thought it was going to. But that's that's how you do her. So support it from the bottom. Take this nut off of here and drop her out. So you're not quite to the pressing part yet. You're gonna have to, let me turn this down so you guys see what the hell's going on. So on the bottom of here, there's a snap ring. I don't know if I've got the camera to where you guys can see it. There's a snap ring down here at the bottom. So take your fancy little tool here, otherwise known as a wire brush. Give her a little clean job there. And then you're going to get aforementioned snap ring pliers. You're going to prop this thing up so you can see what the hell you're doing. And you're just going to pop that snap ring out of there. Shouldn't be too difficult. And you might get lucky and it go right in front of you instead of into your eye or somewhere else. You're probably going to discard that. Hold on to it for now, depending on if the ball joints you got are of good quality or not. 90% of you are going to throw that away because your new ball joints come with a new snap ring. So I'm going to clean this up and then I'll set the press up and I'll show you guys how I got it set up. Alright, so here's the setup. One of these here, an adequately sized sleeve. You want to make sure that the bottom ball joint will fit through that hole, sort of, some, whatever. That's going to go on top like this. Well, you're going to turn it around and do it the right way. So you just want to get it to where you're not pressing against yourself there. And then you want to get the big Yoga-Dogas so you guys can see that set up. And then we're going to get this thing up just a little bit by holding it up with that very technical holding fixture. And then we're going to give it the beans. So it pressed most of the way out. You gotta see if we're limited here. And there she is. So we're going to do the exact same thing over here, except for this one shouldn't really be limited because it's not all that thick. Just give her the beans. There you go. 2 pressed out ball joints. So on this one, I forgot to tell you guys, before I press this bottom one out, I take a file along there and I'll clean that edge up, just because that hangs down and has the ability to hit things, or somebody beating on it like I was installing it. You potentially mushroom that out, and you don't want to get that hung on that bottom boss. So I always file at least the bottom one down. There wasn't really much to file down on this one. So now that you got everything tore apart, clean everything up real good, which is what I'm going to do right now. If you got rust inside here, you can take some fine emery cloth, just kind of clean that up. You don't want to take material off, but just kind of clean the surface rust up. Get this, you know, all the mating areas nice and clean, both bottom or top and bottom. Just get it clean and get ready to press your new ones in. All right, boys and girls, I'm going with the new ones. We got everything nice and cleaned up. Ran some penetrant on there just to kind of lube it up a little bit. Checked everything over, didn't see anything terribly wrong. I mean, it's a 2008, so what do you expect? So I like to run these TTX, the Terrain Tough Extreme. You can get them at Rock Auto. There's the part number for the top one. This one's got a installation adapter in there, which is pretty nice. So the way that works is you're going to take the top ball joint, take the fancy little cover. I like that they put that cover on there. Keeps the threads from getting all dorked up. And then you're going to take installation adapter that they give you. That slides right over the top there. Leave that bolt in there until it's installed, and then you can put your grease ring in there, or your grease zerk in there. On these trucks, so it has a land for a snap ring, but you're not going to use it on these trucks, so you won't need it. At least not on this year. I'm not sure about others, but you get her in there, and usually what I'll do, I'll turn it upright, hold it with my foot, and I'll just barely get her started. I'm just gonna tap it ever so slightly, just to get it started square in there. And you can see, if you use that ringland as a guide, you can see where you're sitting as far as straight. So now that I've got it started, we're going to do pretty much the opposite of what we did last, except for we're going to introduce this bad boy, and this is going to allow that cup, or that the bottom of the ball joint, to come down into this cup, and there's plenty of room for this top one. It doesn't protrude that far, so you're just going to go until you get this seated all the way down. So let's do that real quick. This, I'm gonna need this, and then you can, I'm gonna use this bad boy right here, or you can go without. No, I'm gonna use the installation adapter because it widens it out. So just like that with the cup, and it should press right in. So let's get it set up and see how she works. Didn't get it all the way down in there, but we're pretty damn close. So that's the setup. Let me press this the rest of the way in there. So it actually wasn't my, I wasn't catching. I had to stop and think about it for a second, but basically what was happening is my cheap Harbor Freight press there, the threads were are dicked up down here. I'm gonna have to buy a new press part, but what I did was, to get past those threads, I put the insulation adapter on, and then the wide hole, because it goes all the way down, and it's pressing on the insulation adapter. And I put that right there and pressed her the rest of the way in. So if you can't get it, you know, the other way with this and this, because your Harbor Freight press is a piece of junk, you can shorten it down to this and press it down with the cup at the bottom. So once you get it where you think you got it, tip it up, have a look, make sure it's even all the way around, pressed down, and that looks good. So now these it's going to be tight. It's brand new. It's supposed to be. Don't freak out. That's how it's supposed to be. So now we'll do almost the same thing at the bottom. Alright, so almost the exact same setup. So I got the big hole. This one, we're going to make sure that's good and centered on there. We don't want that slipping off. Alright, so I'll be completely honest with you guys. I had to stop the camera and figure it out, because I couldn't remember how I did it before, and this cheap ass Harbor Freight bullshit ball joint press ain't worth a damn. So if you have a chance to get one of those, don't. But what I ended up doing was using the installation adapter from the top ball joint. I slid it over and it fits fairly okay. Slid this down to where it was sitting on top of it. Took the big ring and the press adapter that goes on top of the screw, and I pressed it down that way. So you can get it most of the way by doing this with the big hole adapter and then the cup down at the bottom. But see how that cup won't fit over the ball joint? So this is your bottom ball joint. It stops right at that cup. So once you get it down and flush, then you can take the installation adapter, slide it over, just use this part of your press right there, the cup that fits over, and then this piece on top, and press it in. This might slide off to the side a little bit. That's okay, because it'll still press, put it that way. So this thing, I might as well take the ball joint press and throw its ass in the trash. At least this part. This thing sucks. It's pulling the threads up already. I've used it maybe 3 times. Anyway, next step, get your little parts kit. Before you do anything else, put that snap ring on. You don't want to forget that. Of course, throwing the parts, I threw every part except for the snap ring figures. So we'll take our snap ring, put it in the pliers, expand, make sure it engages, spin it a little bit to make sure she's in there. And then I give it a little tap edges, make sure it's good and seated. Now remember, like I said, these are gonna be tight. So, all right, let's go get ready for assembly. All right, so you got your knuckle cleaned up. You're literally ready to slide this thing in here, right? But we still got to deal with the camber bushing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop it out. Always use the correct tool. So it's all nasty. I'm just going to go over to the wire wheel, clean it up real quick, get all the dirt and crap out of it. We'll clean up in here, knock down the ABS sensor that I said be real careful with and don't tear up. Just give it a good wire brush in here, and we'll hit it with a little bit of WD-40 or PB Blaster or whatever oil-based lubricant you have, cleaner, whatever. Just something to keep it from rusting any further. But I'm going to run this over the wire wheel, clean it up, and then when we get back, we'll be ready to go. Alright, so, God bless, that thing's heavy. We've cleaned all the things. We've wiped them all down with PB Blaster. So now, what did I do? Okay, now we're ready to put this knuckle back in. So I'm going to show you guys a little trick. So there's a reason that we took the camber sleeve out, which it cleaned up fairly decent. Ain't gonna be perfect, just get it clean. So these, if you try to press or put the camber sleeve in or just leave it in, right? If you leave that in and try to tighten the top ball joint down first, the whole thing will come down to where this is all the way down. So if you look, it was installed with about 1/4 of an inch sticking out of the top, and that's how it's supposed to be. So if you drop this, if you drop everything down and then you try to install the nut on the bottom ball joint, you're never going to get it. So here's what I do. I get her in a bind. Look at this. I get it up in there. Alright guys, so I'm going to break in here real quick and show you the actual, no kidding, straight from the Ford workshop manual, how to do this. So I did a little bit wrong in this video, so I can't exactly shoot it again. So I'm just going to put up a screenshot here shortly of the actual process. So I was right in cleaning and remove the camber adjustment sleeve and all that. But then you install the sleeve, position the wheel knuckle onto the axle, apply thread lock if there isn't already some, like you can see on this nut here, and then you're going to tighten the lower ball joint to 44 foot-pounds. So install the knuckle, put the nut on, tighten it to 44 foot-pounds. Then you're going to put the nut on the upper ball joint and tighten it to 69 foot-pounds and install a cotter pin. Then go back down to the lower ball joint and install or tighten it to 150 foot-pounds. So what you're doing here is you're kind of stretching the knuckle and ensuring everything gets tightened down straight so you don't have memory steer. So here shortly I will put the screenshot of the install sheet from the Ford workshop manual up, and I'll leave it up there for quite a while so you can screenshot it or pause it or whatever you want to do. But we'll get that on there, and you guys will be able to see the no kidding, straight from Ford, not the USAF 99 redneck way, to get this thing on here and get it done right. I have a video on putting the drive shafts in here. There's a special tool for it. If you need to know how to do that, go back through my videos. It's there, I promise. I think it's my front U-joints video. It'll tell you how to, you gotta have that special tool, but the rest of it's pretty easy. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all my subscribers. If you're new here, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Thanks a lot. We'll see you guys next time.